Do you wish you could take your jump roping from this to this? In this video, I'm gonna show you 3 key areas to focus on that will help you solve 6 different problems, taking you from feeling like an uncoordinated mess to a jump rope pro in no time. The first one is very important and has 3 parts to it. If you screw this up, it can really destroy your performance. You don't want your elbows pointed in towards your sides or your arms flared out away from your body. This creates a lot of inconsistencies and makes it difficult to get into a good rhythm. Instead, focus on keeping your hands around hip level, which is very important, and I'll share more on this shortly. And keep your elbows pointing backwards. This position will be easier to maintain, creating a far more consistent rope path, leading to greater success. Be aware. When making changes to your hand and arm positioning, be ready for them to drift back towards where you had them before. This simply is a muscle memory habit, and you'll have to drill this out of you until the good form habit takes over the old one. Here's a drill you can do. Start your jump rope sessions with 5 minutes of focusing strictly on these 2 aspects. Do this until this new form dominates your old bad form. Anytime I feel like my form gets a little loose, causing trips, I'll return to this area of focus to dial it back in. This next key area builds off of hand and arm positioning and is equally as important. You don't want to look like this. By bringing your hands in towards your hips and keeping your elbows pointing backwards, it forces you to rotate the rope using your wrists. You want very little arm movement when you're rotating the rope. This helps keep a consistent rope path, builds faster rope speeds, and ultimately reduces the amount of trip-ups you experience. Here's a rotation drill you can practice. Start with both handles in your dominant hand. Practice rotating the rope only using your wrist rotation, small wrist circles. Go slower and faster, switch hands and repeat. You will likely find that you have a weaker side, usually your non-dominant side. Continue to practice this as needed to develop that coordination more. Once you've nailed that, now jump rope is normal. Again, you want to focus on the wrist rotation, keeping both sides in sync with each other. If you feel it starts to get out of sync, stop and reset. The more you practice and place focus in this area, the faster it will improve. Eventually, you'll find that you don't have to think about it at all. More rope speed is worthless if you jump like this or like this. You need to practice jumping just higher than the rope is thick. I often made this a personal challenge, testing myself to see how low I could jump while still clearing the rope. As you jump higher for slower rope speeds, push through the balls of your feet and focus on your toes being the last thing to leave the ground. Then leave them hanging down towards the floor. This is what I call jump follow through, and it makes sure that all of your jump rope power is going straight down into the ground instead of being wasted in a direction that doesn't help propel you upwards. Here's a low jump drill challenge for you. Test to see how many jumps you can do in 15 seconds. Learn to push your speed limit, but without tripping. Once you get a full 15 seconds with no trips, try to improve that score. Nailing form is huge, but another gigantic problem exists that will sink your jump rope hopes and dreams ship faster than the iceberg that sank the Titanic. Let's fix it. The big mistake beginners and intermediate jumpers make is thinking this is a one-stop shop, a one and done deal, a hit it and quit. You get the point. Stand on the middle of your rope. You want the handles to come up anywhere between the bottom of your chest to the bottom of your rib cage. This is important because you want your rope length to be compatible with your now good form. If your rope is too long, which is a massive problem for a lot of people, it will cause hands and arms to be out of position, which in turn causes rotation mechanics to fall apart, leaving you back here. At first, you may feel like this length is too short. Well, stop it. I assure you it's not. In fact, it may still be too long. Here's how to tell. If it's too long, the rope will be slapping the ground, causing excessive rope wear, as well as bouncing up off the ground and into your feet, causing trip-ups. No good. If it's too short, the rope won't or will barely make contact with the ground, leading to trip-ups from the rope catching on your feet directly. Just be sure it's actually too short and not your hands drifting out of position, causing the trip-ups. Do you know why you want your hands around hip level? It's because this is typically around the midpoint of your body, meaning your rope with good form will clear your feet and your head without excessive rope slapping the ground. So a properly sized rope should only be skimming the ground. Now I need you to hear me here. When you first size your rope, it's just a starting point. That's because as you dial in your form and technique consistency, which is a fancy way of saying keeping the same form throughout jumping, you'll very likely be able to shorten your rope more to gain better and better efficiency, with your rope just skimming the ground. Just make sure to do this a little bit at a time. Every time you shorten your jump rope, you will need to make small adjustments to your form, typically lowering your hands a little bit. You can expect to trip more after shortening because now you have to find and get used to the new hand placement. Never cut your rope until you're sure it's the length that you want. If you have a PVC rope, I recommend using knots to start working your rope length shorter and shorter without worrying about cutting it too short. Then you cut it once you know the exact length that you want. Pro tip! I recommend leaving a length that you can knot once or twice to reach the shortest you're comfortable with. This guarantees you won't cut it too short while also giving you a rope with options based on what you want, if it's max speed or skills and footwork. Form and sizing alone can make a huge difference in your experience, but they do take practice to dial in. What if I told you there was a surefire way to immediately improve your jump rope skills faster than you can say shamalama ding dong? Cause there is. There are speed ropes, freestyle ropes, beaded ropes, cheap ropes, expensive ropes, heavy ropes, and everything in between ropes. So many ropes, what should you choose? Well, it better not be this rope because you'll surely lose. Many beginners go the cheap route because I need to see if I like jump rope first. Let me help you. You won't. Here's why. Because a cheap rope performs like a cheap rope. It's a path to guaranteed trips and frustration. However, that doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of your hard-earned dough. I recommend the $20 to $30 price range, but not just any rope. The key is to get a rope with a little weight to it, not in the handles, but in the rope itself. This will provide you with better feel and feedback from your rope as it spins around your body, helping you instantly develop better timing and rhythm. And I'm not just yanking your chain here. This is exactly what happened to me when I started and I could barely do 10 jumps. I got a new rope, not understanding this at the time, but it had more weight. And bam! I was off to the races, rolling out 50 plus jumps like it was nothing, baby. Now you're probably asking yourself, what is this mythical jump rope that destroys the evil whip, trip, and tangle monsters? Don't worry, I got you. It's a 6mm PVC rope, which I have my favorite linked down below with an extra discount. Because who doesn't like to save money? I guarantee you'll notice and feel the difference immediately. Now, even the best jump rope in the world won't stop all trips, because trips happen. What you need to know is how to spot the causes of your trips so you can fix them. And I show you how to do that in this video right here. Go on, click it. It's a good one.